Tell me why I went to a fashion business school. Here's my degree. I went to a fashion business school and I cannot even get a job that makes more than $17 an hour. I work for big brands. Like, I have experience working for luxury brands. I have multiple internships under my belt. I'm very smart. I'm very capable. And literally none of these places are hiring. Every single job, especially where I'm applying to in Manhattan, because it's the fashion capital of the world. I'm like, if I'm going to go anywhere, it's going to be Manhattan. I cannot get a job that pays more than like $17 an hour. Like, am I gonna be poor forever? Like, I'm just like, I can't. And people are like, just keep applying. I'm like, I've been applying every single day doing hundreds of applications. I'm about to call my school up and say that this degree that I spent 4 years trying to get, 4 years, was a waste of money.
A degree in software engineering is not what it used to be. 4 or 5 years ago, when your great aunt asked you what you were going to major in college and you said software engineering, and she replied, oh, you'll always have a job with that major. My husband helps a lot of recent college grads land roles in tech, and what he's seeing over and over again is engineering students transitioning to something like tech sales.
What degree is completely useless in 2025?
Computer science. I've heard bad things about computer science.
Art degrees.
I want to say any degree.
What degree is completely useless in 2025?
Communications.
Me, I think like political science.
Communication.
Bad to say, but probably computer science.
Any degree can be useless. Any degree can be really helpful.
I don't think any degree is completely useless. I think it's how you use it.
I just graduated from community college with my dance degree.
Full bachelor?
No, I got an associate's.
Associates in dance?
Yeah, and...
What are we gonna do with that?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's cute.
Well, you know, it's the whole thing. It's like, fine, you know, go after your passion and everything will work out.
Who said that?
I guess myself, yeah.
The majority of our time in college is spent on irrelevant material. If you don't believe me, take a look at a few of these pie charts from these random schools. They show the course workload required to get a degree. You'll see that at least half of a degree is spent getting general education or electives. A good portion of general education consists of courses like algebra, chemistry, biology, English 1. You know, courses you should have taken somewhere between 7th and 10th grade. Then you take electives, which by definition don't have to have anything to do with your major. For example, I was sitting at dinner the other night with a table of engineers and we were joking about some of the courses that we took, one of which included African music history at the University of Massachusetts. Not sure how that's supposed to help you as an engineer or tell an employer that you're worth hiring. Then on top of that, you have to consider how many major focused courses are actually major focused.
I don't think college is as worth it as it used to be. If I were looking at going to school right now or getting an education, I would choose not to go. Getting into that much debt for an education that isn't even going to put you ahead of other applicants for entry-level jobs just isn't worth it to me. I think a lot of Gen Z are starting to catch on to that. Or starting over now, I would be looking into either community college, online courses, or just self-education. Paying for traditional college education doesn't give you the value that it used to. You can self-educate and start your own business for little to no debt. If you can afford to go to college and pay $100,000 to go to school, I absolutely would. The problem is that there's just no guarantee you're going to get a job right out of college, and a lot of people are unemployed for like a year after they graduate. And that's just not the way that it should be. Self-education, online courses, investing, figuring out how to use your money wisely is the better move. I think four-year colleges are going out of style. There are so many better ways to use our money, and college is not one of them.
I always find it funny that people like to criticize others for doing a quote-unquote useless degree when literally from the ages of 14 to 18, and I remember being told this, by the way, I remember being told as a 14-year-old girl that you have to get a degree, it doesn't matter what the degree is, because you will automatically be paid a better wage. That if you don't do a degree, you'll just end up working in McDonald's. Most people I know did a degree that actually is supposed to lead to employment, and that the end goal was the job in that related degree field. But they ended up not getting a job in that degree-related field because that degree-related field required you to have working experience. And a lot of that working experience can only be provided through actually getting a job in that field, because where are you supposed to get that experience? Or it requires you to do an internship which doesn't pay you. And let's say if you do end up doing an internship, that is not considered to be enough experience. So people end up getting into a job that is completely unrelated to their degree. They end up being really unhappy because they, that's not the life that they saw for themselves. That's not the life that they want for themselves, but they kind of just have to suck it up and deal with it because there really is no other way.
I'm starting to think that my college degrees have been a waste. Hear me out. I have a Bachelor of Arts in English and Journalism with a concentration in creative writing. And then I have a Master of Fine Arts, which is a terminal master's degree in, it's writing, fiction, right? In fiction writing. Originally it was nonfiction, and then I switched to fiction, whatever, right? Right. I graduated many, many years ago. I'm a woman of a certain age. I'm an elder millennial. And I have never been able to find like sustainable work for any like length of time. Now, I did have like a somewhat decent salary at my most recent job, which ended in 2022. But even with that job, the benefits were horrible. And so I was going to have to pay like, I think $3,000 or $4,000 a month for healthcare for my entire family, which at that point, the salary was what? Not only have I never been able to find like sustainable work. I mean, I definitely can't find any work now. I've also have like an insane amount of money, like debt. Like it's crazy.
I've had to explain this to a lot of people, but an MD degree is useless without a residency spot. So people think that once you go to medical school and get your MD degree, you're officially a doctor and can be a doctor, but you have to go to residency training. And residency training is where you get trained in a specialty of your choice. And sometimes it's not really your choice. So if you are applying to a competitive specialty and maybe don't get the, good board scores or extracurriculars or research or things like that, you may not match into that specialty. And if you don't match into your specialty, then you're essentially unemployed and you only have a few choices. So you can either reapply the next year and take a year of unemployment doing other types of work, or you can look at a non-clinical jobs. I know some people who don't go to residency do consulting, work in pharmaceuticals, things like that are non-clinical, but you cannot work as a doctor with an MD degree, which I think is shocking to a lot of people. So essentially, even if you get an MD degree, you are not classified as a doctor and you cannot work in clinical settings unless you go to residency. And some unfortunate people never match and never work as a doctor because of this.
What did you graduate with? What was your degree?
Elementary education.
Why aren't you teaching?
I don't like school.
Why?
I don't think it's useful. I don't think it was necessary.
What, school?
The tactics, the classroom style.
Then why not try to get into like a charter or private school that might align with your teaching style and what you think a classroom should be? Not that I would want you to teach a kid.
I just don't like it.
Why'd you get the degree?
To get a degree.
To get a degree? Why didn't you get more general degree, just like a business degree or marketing?
It was the fastest degree out of college.
That's all you cared about? And now you're just being a nanny.
2.5 years trying to do nursing, and then it was like I did not like that and was bad at it. So
yeah, no. Even though
to elementary education just to get the degree, got the degree, and then attempted teaching a few times and did not like it. And nannying was like right up my alley.
You think your degree alone is gonna get you a job? You're fried in this job market. Unless you went to a top 20 school and did extremely well, then maybe you can submit an application and expect an email back. But even then, some kid who went to some no-name school, but his dad is a client at JP Morgan, is gonna get 10 emails back from recruiters before your resume even gets past the automated system. I know it sucks. You're probably thinking, I'm putting in all this work, I'm getting good grades, I'm paying for college, I should be able to get a job, right? Wrong. You have to move different nowadays. Getting a referral isn't an option anymore. It's mandatory. So where do you get these referrals from? You go on LinkedIn and find people that went to your same college or are in some same activity that you're doing. And this is very important. Do not message them on LinkedIn. Find their work or personal email and email them. They're way more likely to respond to it because they check their email every day.
Which college degrees have the highest and lowest unemployment rates after graduation? The majors with the highest unemployment rates are art history, liberal arts, and fine arts, with their unemployment rates hovering around 8% each. And that's not the worst part of it, because if you look at the other side of the chart here, you'll see that they have pretty high underemployment rates too. which means that people are completely capable of doing more advanced level jobs than the jobs that they're getting hired for. But the fourth place degree with some of the highest unemployment surprised me, and it's aerospace engineering. At first, I always thought that any sort of engineer coming out of college would have really good employment outcomes. But when it comes to aerospace engineering, there's really only a handful of companies that these people can actually go work at. And depending on what's going on in the industry at the time, it may be harder for them to actually get hired. And number 8, physics surprised me too. And I guess if you go and major in physics, I don't really know what it is that you will do with that degree beyond being a physics professor. Because I don't know how physicists really become successful, because it's not like you hear about a new theory of relativity every day.
My degree from UCLA is practically useless to me. And I'm sure you're wondering, Sophia, how come? You just got that thing. And I'll tell you how come. So I graduated from UCLA in June with a bachelor's in psychology. And practically all of my internship and work experience was in marketing, because that's what I thought I was going to do with my life after I graduated college. But then 2 months out of college, I had this sobering realization that that was actually not what I wanted to do with my life anymore. And then of course I was very panicked by that realization, because what was I going to do with my life now after everything I had done to set myself onto the right track? And so after some soul searching, I found something new. It was an industry that I didn't realize existed until that moment, but it felt like it had everything I was looking for. The problem is, this is not an easy industry to get into, and generally one of the main requirements to even get into it is to have a degree related to that industry. And that I do not have. Yeah, unfortunately, psychology is nowhere near that. I also evidently don't have any relevant work experience. So here I am, a college graduate trying to navigate a career change before their career has even started, and somehow get their foot into the door with no prior education or experience to back me. I'm basically starting from nothing and trying to turn that into something. I could have never anticipated this for myself when I graduated college, but here we are. It's not going to be easy, but I'd rather do it now than years down the line.